Why and how feminine women fall in love with their ears. In this video, we're going to be talking about why it is that feminine energy falls in love with her ears. Why is it important that she falls in love with her ears? And what are some of the things she needs to be very conscious of because she falls in love with her ears? Hello, my name is Chengi, and you, my precious one, are my world. Welcome to Black Swan Relationship Academy, right here where I teach you women how to become your most feminine, high value self so that you can attract the most amazing masculine high value man. I understand that not all of us are about that feminine energy, and not all of us want to date masculine men, but this channel is designed for feminine women that want to attract masculine men who are giving, protecting, and cherishing. Okay, they also want to be ambitious, they want to pursue their goals and dreams and live in their purpose, but they don't want to have to sacrifice love with a masculine man in order to have that. And so this is the place where you will get the training that you deserve. Now, in the academy, I have developed courses, am developing courses, and will continue to develop courses that will help you understand femininity even more. I would encourage you to take the Feminine Mastery Masterclass course on my website. All you have to do is go to Black Swan Relationship Academy, and I break that down for you at a very basic level so that the rudiments and your understanding is really settled, so that when we build upon and you start to watch more videos, it's really a building upon the fundamentals. So feel free to head over to my website, to blackswanrelationshipacademy.com, and just download yourself or begin to work on as many courses as you like. Now, why is it that feminine energy falls in love with her ears? If you're watching this and you're thinking, I don't fall in love with my ears, I don't. You know, every single time I meet up with a woman who's heartbroken or something has happened in a relationship, she doesn't tell me why she's heartbroken because of the way he looks. I'm heartbroken because he's not handsome anymore. I'm heartbroken because he's not tall anymore. I'm heartbroken because he's put on weight. I'm yet to have a conversation with a woman who is unhappy in a relationship because of something physical that has happened to the man that she's in love with. 99.9% of the time, the conversation is what he said and what he did. What breaks our hearts is he said this to me, he promised me this and did not fulfill, or he said something not so kind and it hurt my feelings, or he did something and his words and his deeds were out of alignment. So no matter how much you might think, no, I am committed to what I see with my eyes, really at the heart of it, when your heart is broken, it is not how he looked. Men do get deeply disappointed and hurt when a woman's looks change drastically from one to the other. That is not to say that masculine men are idiots who don't understand that we will have children and our bodies will change and we have stretch marks. In fact, I don't even think they care about the minutiae in as much as we do. But you know, a masculine man who married a slim lady is going to be upset if she, you know, quadruples in size and doesn't actually do anything about it with no cause. You know, you just got comfortable and let it go. Or if he married a full-figured girl and because he likes a little bit of chunky and now you're a skinny rake, that was not what he paid for. It's really important that we understand that men go for what their eyes like, and men like different women, different sizes, different shapes, different heights. And I know we fall into the rut of we've got to look a certain way for men to like you. When you look a certain way and you're a certain size, you will get more attention from more quarters, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you get quality attention. So we have to grow in our inner confidence. Really learning to love ourselves is a feminine protocol and priority. And that is how we can sell our beauty. We have to buy it first, right? So not to get off topic, we do fall in love with our ears. We are heartbroken by our ears. The tone of his voice when he speaks to us, the kindness in it, the energy it carries, the frequency it's coming from, all of that matters to the feminine energy woman. And so it is really important for us and for me to begin to teach you the following. We do not hear with our ears, we hear with our hearts. And so this is what I mean. So I did a video on how feminine energy repels narcissistic energy. Now we know that narcissism is something that channels are built on. It is a subject matter that one can spend hours and days and months discussing, because it is very much part of life as we know it, as we have become more cellular and less nuclear. As we live as individuals more than we did in the past, we have become more narcissistic, because it has become necessary for us to care for the self. We're staying single longer, so we are becoming more selfish. So as a society, the way we now live has created a great deal of narcissism in our communities and lives. So obviously in a 15-minute video, I am not going to talk about all of the components that are required, but I am going to point out to the feminine community that this is also a way that we can protect ourselves. By being feminine, we are more likely to protect ourselves than by being masculine. Of course, everybody else who shares my resonance and my frequency understood that, and I'm so grateful to you for listening to me with open hearts and open minds. But there was a comment in there that says it's got nothing to do with masculine femininity, and I could tell that this person was very, very triggered. Now, they were not triggered because of what I said. Two people heard the same thing. One said, thank you, oh my God, you've helped me understand, now it makes sense. And another person was angered, but it was the same words coming out of my mouth. I didn't do two separate videos. I didn't upload two separate videos. I actually uploaded one video, and the words were exactly the same. But what was the difference? The difference was the condition of one woman's heart and the condition of another woman's heart. They were different. One woman's heart has certain wounds that have not healed, and another woman's heart has a different set of wounds, but not necessarily in this area. So I illustrate this to make the point that we are never really hearing with our ears. Our ears are a physical part of us that translates vibration and translates sound into words that our brains can interpret into something. But how and the meaning we place upon those words determines what we have actually heard. Now, if you are a feminine woman and you are carrying a lot of wounds, it is very likely that most of the time when a masculine man is speaking to you, you are not actually listening for what he is actually saying. You are listening from within yourself, and you are placing meaning on the words that he is saying based on your pain. This is the bit and the piece that we need to be really careful about, because we can hemorrhage a great deal of relationships because we are not healed. And we can fall in love with a man who is not right for us. So for example, you know, a guy, you start talking and he says, oh, you're the woman I'm going to marry. If you had experienced neglect as a child or abandonment as a child, you are going to hear in what he is saying, oh my goodness, he's never going to leave me. He is the man of my dreams. I am going to marry him and have children. And you're going to go far because you are constantly in your brain and your subconscious mind is perpetually in pursuit of wholeness to rectify that which was broken as a child. You're constantly in search of daddy or mommy or the people that neglected you. And so when a man gives you any indicator that he is committed for something long-term, automatically what you are hearing is, I will be mommy. Your heart is hearing, I will be mommy and I'll be daddy and I'll never leave you. And then you emotionally hold on to that person because your ears, whilst they have heard, your heart is what has interpreted what you have heard. And this then becomes a really very dangerous. And I'll give you an example of myself. When I was growing up, I was raised in a family of 7 children and my mom took in everyone. So my house was always full of people. I loved my mom's big heart, her sisters, my cousins, everybody that needed somewhere to leave their children for care could always bring them to my mother's house. So sometimes our house was full of people. Whoever was broken or hurting would always come to our house. And my mom has the biggest heart. She's the straightest shooter in the world. She'll tell you like it is, but she reminds me a little bit of Medea. But she's really this person who had a huge heart and love for people. But what that meant was that I felt deeply neglected because I was number 6 of 7 children. I didn't have a younger sister then. She only came 7 years later, and my older sibling was 7 years older than me or so. And basically, yeah, she's 7 years older than me, and basically I didn't have anyone. I was like an only child living in a hostel, really. That's what it felt like to me. And then on top of that, I was naturally introverted. So you actually had to take time out to come and talk to me. I wasn't going to join in the conversation. And I naturally don't join in a conversation. I'm the sort of person, if I see people talking, I'll stand quietly and I will listen, because I really love to learn and listen and watch people. And only if somebody says, Chingy, what do you think, will I contribute? But most of the time I will happily listen and go and find a place to sit. And so being that temperament, I was very much alone all the time, and what I felt was neglect. And so as I grew up, I had this core wound of neglect. It wasn't because my family didn't love me. It's not because they didn't care. It just is how it was, the situation and the circumstances. And so as I started to date, and the only person in the world who had time for me was my dad, because we were similar temperaments. So we would always, I would sneak into his room when my mom had left to go make breakfast or whatever, and I would go and sit in his bed and we would talk for ages. I don't even know what he had to discuss with me about, but he always had the time for me. And then, of course, him and my mom separated, you know, their marriage ended and he left. And so now I had another wound. Not only did I have the wound, you know, and neglect, I now had abandonment. So now I am out here dating and I find myself in constant anxiety. And what do men do? Those of you who've done the Mastering Attraction Masterclass will know that future faking, talking about how he's going to be in your future and placing himself psychologically in your future, is part of what some of the games men play. And because it works, many of them do it most of the time. And I would fall for any guy who would place me in his future, because I was listening with a core wound of he won't neglect me. I would also attract narcissistic men because they make you need them, and I needed to need somebody. I needed to rely on somebody because it made me feel like I was being seen, heard, and understood. And even if the relationship was painful, I still needed to be there because I didn't want to let go. I didn't want to be abandoned again. And these were the wounds that were working on the inside of me. Obviously, that led from one toxic relationship to another toxic relationship. It caused me to misunderstand, to not see the game. And it's only when I began to do the healing work, which has taken me a long time. And I always say to you, my ladies, and to you, my swans, as we go along in life, your healing process will never end. We're perpetually living in a broken world with broken people. And sometimes, no matter how much work you've done on yourself, you could meet somebody who hasn't done enough work on themselves, and they can hurt you and you need to heal. But it's okay. Once you accept that healing is, you can heal the core wounds, and as time goes on, you will become more efficient at healing your heart. But only when my heart was healed did communication then seem clear. Then when a man said, oh, I'm going to marry you one day, what I would hear was, okay, this is a man that perceives me as somebody that could fit into his future. But I don't even know him. And I don't want to be with anyone who's toxic and broken. So it's my job to be flattered and to thank him very much for seeing me as part of his future. But because I'm hearing and listening from the right place, I'm able to go with it, make fun of it, but not buy into it. Why? Because I'm healed. It's really important because many of us are falling fast foul because we do fall in love with our ears, but our ears are listening out to repair our wounds. It is important too that we fall in love with our ears, because there are so many good men who do what they say they will do, say something and do it, men of great integrity, that sometimes because we're so focused on how they look, that we're missing out on what they are actually saying and doing. We're missing out on the divine alignment of their words and deeds. And I want you to know that when you rely on your eyes to choose a man, not only are you leaning heavily in your masculine energy, you are also opening yourself up to great deception. Why? Because we are not, as women, our instinct works way better when we are not being mesmerized with our eyes, when we're actually listening. I also want you to know that if you do listen, something magical is going to happen. Something inside of you is going to be triggered. Chemistry, attraction. How many married women have you spoken to who've said to you, you know, when I met my husband, he simply was not my type. I didn't go for that type. But what is it that actually shifted it for her? It was she gave herself an opportunity to listen to him, to hear what he had to say, watch and see whether his words and his actions aligned. And when that happened, something surprising happened in her. Attraction happened in her. When we don't allow ourselves to fall in love with our ears, we're not allowing ourselves to be attracted. We're holding ourselves back from being attracted. And when I began to understand this, I started to open up my world. And it was amazing, because when you stop deciding whether a man is worthy to be in your life based on whether his height or his size, then I promise you, you will begin to experience the love that you have been craving and deserving. When you start to listen with a healed heart, a whole heart, you will then be able to see through many of the games that men play. And even if you can't see through them, just having a healed heart means that they can't play them and it will work on you. The reason it's particularly important for the feminine woman to have a healed heart is because we live from our heart. Feminine energy resides in the area of our heart. Feminine energy resides in the area of our creativity. It resides in our bodies. When we are not attuned to our bodies, then we cannot be feminine. When we're not attuned to our hearts, we cannot be feminine. And so a healed heart is so very important. And our hearts heal from having a healed mind. And so this is why I created the Emotional Mastery Masterclass. This is a masterclass that is 2 hours long. It has workbooks, quizzes, downloads for you, because it's going to help you understand in depth some of what I have discussed with you today. So today I have skimmed over to make sure that everybody gets a benefit, or at least gets some insight. But when you do the Emotional Mastery Masterclass, you will really dive deeper. Now that masterclass is going to continue. There's going to be a 2.0, 3.0 version of that masterclass. But in there, I explore the fundamentals so that you actually understand what is going on. I hope that this video has been helpful, and do not hesitate to subscribe to the Black Swan Relationship Academy. You are also welcome in the Black Swan Nation, where my coaches and I teach you and train you on how to date as a feminine high value woman in a community of feminine high value women on the same path and journey as you. We are in there giving exclusive private advice that we will never ever share in this platform. In that community, we talk about ourselves, our own journey, we talk about you, and we tell you stuff that we know that we would not put on YouTube or any of the public platforms. So if you want to be part of this elite nation of Black Swans, do not hesitate to join on my website at blackswanrelationshipacademy.com. In the meantime, take care of you. Love you lots. Bye-bye now.